In the political landscape, he is seated at the right hand of President William Ruto. Many consider him as the man who wields more power than anyone else in Kenya Kwanza's administration. I'm talking about none other than Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi. He makes four persons of interest today on yet another insightful edition of Siasa Brigade, touching matters governance and leadership in Kenya's landscape. My name is Richard Monja. Such a pleasure to have you on board. With me is none other than renowned political analyst in Eastern and Central Africa, the first of his name, Herman Manyora. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you, Richard.
Never aging.
Never. We are young people. Kijana barubaru.
Kijana barubaru, kutoka Vihiga. I see, let's delve into the subject of the day. We are talking about Oscar Sudi. I'm sure he's your friend, and you've seen him make international trips with the president. Let's start there. Here he is, no expatriate, not having a serious docket in government, but he's there in Ethiopia, in all those major summits that the president is going, he is there. The question is, sir, when you see the likes of Oscar Sudi, not as CS, not really part of the executive, with the president all over the place, Kenyans are wondering, are those business trips or really state visits that should, benefit the country?
Every administration in the world, including the Vatican, there are always power men around the power. Yeah, they may occupy formal positions like Biwott, Kissinger, or they may just be there like Nancy in Reagan's administration. There are always power men around the president. Yes, the people who call the shots.
But then again, don't you think they somehow discredit the confidence that people have in the presidency? If they say Ruto doing those international trips, instead of having, say, people like the Attorney General next to him, they're seeing Sudi in there. So people are saying these are more self-interest trips to benefit the president.
Look at the president's trip. And look at the intention of the trip, or the objectives or the purpose of the trip. And you look in you'll certainly find people there who are relevant to the trip.
But also an extra one who isn't
holding
really...
one more man in the name of Sudi. It's okay. There's nothing. It happens everywhere in the world. There are always power men around power. Sudi is currently the power man around Ruto. Sudi and Farouk.
But then again,
yes,
when you look at trying to find the order of Kenya's economic problems when it comes to public-private partnerships, the likes of SGR, many people accused CS Macharia because of his close proximity to then President Uhuru Kenyatta as the one who advised Uhuru on such partnerships, more of which were cash cows therein. So when you have such a person close to the president, not literally related to such dockets that deal with trade, international relations, then they say they too could be the source of this inappropriate peace. Do you share the same thought?
Of course. Sudi is not just a power broker, in my thinking. I don't know him. I've never met Sudi even one day. I've even greeted him. I don't know him. He's a power broker. But he's also a wheeler dealer, I suspect.
A wheeler dealer?
A wheeler dealer. He's to Ruto what Junet Mohammed is to Raila. Wheeler dealers. If you have a deal you can trust, you can do it. I'm not saying they do so. It's my own reading, and I could be wrong. And I hope I'm wrong. And I wish I'm wrong. Yeah. There are people around you can trust, like Joshua Kulei with Moi. Biwott was handling the politics, but Joshua Kulei was handling the business. There's nothing wrong with that. Because as a country, we have decided our leaders can do as much business as they want. They can, in fact, do that business with the government. In fact, they can run everybody out of business. That's what we have agreed. The Ndegwa Commission of 1970, around 1771, which allowed civil servants, public servants, to engage in business. In fact, which encouraged them to engage in business, has not been reviewed otherwise.
I see.
So,
if you go down memory lane and try to analyze Kenyan politics, you'll realize that so many of Kenyans have had their political careers actually succumb because they have been in close proximity with power, and they at some point thought they willed it. In that when they go back to the electorate, comes the election year, the electorate doesn't listen to them because they thought they were too powerful. They never needed to campaign or work on the grassroots level. For the likes of, now particularly for Oscar Sudi, do you think if all he's doing is this being so close to Ruto, and so less of his presence is felt in Kapseret, do you think at some point that could portend danger to his political future?
It depends. Many people, and I've given an example of Keter, you make enemies when you become powerful. For two reasons. Sometimes impunity comes in. You think you are a god. You do things complete disregard for the law and for other people. Or you extend favors like accusations against Ketela I've had to just your family. So you annoy the wider Kericho people because you think Kericho is equal to your family. The second thing about power is not only does it alienate you, it creates enemies that need not be enemies. When you become powerful, like you are stood close to Ruto, people think you can employ 2,000 people in a day. So they give you CVs left, right. People want contracts, people want tender. The fact is, you may not have that power. And even if you have, you are not going to give everybody. So then you make enemies from people who feel you are not using your power to help them, even when it is not possible. But again, on the other hand, someone like Sudi, he looks to me to be a very shrewd politician.
Why so?
I have seen it. You know, I'm observant. And I can look at Sudi. He may not easily fall into that trap. Sudi will be the kind of person who, in fact, can strengthen his base more than weaken it. And he can even go for a bigger seat like Senate and you will not beat him.
Or governor.
Yeah. Or even governor. You will not beat Sudi. People like Sudi are very shrewd in business, in deals, and in politics. So I don't see Sudi going down because of being close to Ruto. On the contrary, he will entrench himself in Uasin Gishu to a point. If he wanted to become governor or senator, it will be a walkover. Yeah.
Make me understand this, and many Kenyans are wondering. It has been reported that so many members of parliament are trying to really align themselves close to Oscar Sudi just because of his close ties with the president.
Yes.
For a member of parliament who's been actually elected to represent his electorate, what then makes them feel like they have to be a darling to these people close to Ruto so that they can have projects to their places or political favors therein? Shouldn't they trust that devolution was there in the first place to ensure equitable resource sharing and balanced regional development? Why do they get it wrong? That I have to be close to Ruto, sort of, quote unquote, bootlick so that my people can be safe?
One is that power attracts. People like moving towards power. So Sudi is next to power. Naturally, he will attract people. People will want to move closer to, so that by association, they may get some favors coming their way. The second reason is we have not been able to internalize the changes, especially from 2010 with the new constitution. We still believe the president has the power to distribute resources. Kibaki got us away from there even before we changed the constitution. But we still move towards it. But Kibaki said, no, you're asking me for this, how? This thing is supposed to be planned in the development plan and budgeted for. And allocations made for it. Why are you asking me? And Kibaki really succeeded in doing that. But we keep moving back there. We keep asking the president, give us this. Yeah, so that can explain it.
Does that explain why you believe devolution is still a poison chalice in Kenyan setup?
Devolution has far to go. We still have
many miles to go?
Many miles to go to actualize the benefits of devolution. If you go to countries, even Nigeria, for example, you can see devolution at work. States are very powerful, governors are very powerful, and they have very ambitious programs. So our devolution, first of all, even by its design, is wrong. You cannot have devolution with 47 countries in a country of 50 million people with just, I don't know how many square kilometers. You can't.
I see.
Kenya would have a maximum of 14 counties or regions or majimbos, whatever you want to call it. Then those ones will be powerful and viable. But these are just jokes. These are just words.
Over time, sir, you've studied the political history of Kenya and you literally looked at matters power and proximity to power. And there's sort of a common denominator. If you look at during Moi's era, the people like Makto, in Kenya Kwanza's government, we are seeing the likes of Oscar Sudi. These are people who are saying the power brokers and people, the kitchen cabinet of the president.
Yes.
The denominator is in here. If you look at all those people, when it comes to academic merit, it's nowhere close to the threshold as to what propelled them to such positions. For a young person like me wants probably to be there close to Raila or Manyora as a president someday.
Yes. Especially Manyora, yes.
Especially Manyora. Does that explain that merit has nothing to do with you
No,
being
it's
close
not
to the
merit.
president?
And you see,
More so academic.
it is true in this country, merit is nothing. Nobody considers merit. But you see, let us not reduce merit to academic certificates. There are people who merit without academic certificates. So even when you say Aisha Juma cannot make a cabinet secretary, it's not on the basis of her D minus or D plus, no. It's our judgment beyond the academic certificate. Because when you expose yourself to the public, your capacity comes out. We can see what capacity, what kind of intellectual power you have. It's not certificate. If I've argued before, if you look at the past 15 or so American presidents, more than half never had degrees. Beginning with George Washington, who couldn't continue with education because the father passed on. So I think him, yeah, and a few others. Almost 8 or so American presidents never had degrees, and people like Abraham Lincoln taught themselves and to degree level. John Major, a long-standing British Prime Minister, was a Form 2 dropout who went to work in Nigeria in a bank. And somebody identified this young man in a bank looks very intelligent. And finally found himself as a Chancellor of the Exchequer. And then Prime Minister. So there are stories of people who don't have academic certificates. So let's look for merit. But let's not confine ourselves to certificates when it comes to merit.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. If you
Sudi
go,
may not have those certificates. But if we are looking for merit, I will give it to Sudi in the field of politics. In terms of creating power for himself. Okay? You can see the intelligence, the political intelligence coming from Sudi. Okay? Now, I will have a problem if you thought because of that he can be a cabinet secretary. I'll say no. You see? But in politics, you can succeed very well.
I see. The very last, as we wind up, sir, you have seen the late President Moi's 24-year tenure and even Kibaki's tenure in office, and those close men to him, particularly those at State House Comptroller, the Chief of Staff at State House, such men close to the President, once their presidency are over, oftentimes them literally having a seamless transition into the life without now the President in State House has always been an arduous task for many. Many go and try elective seats, they fail, or even they just last 2-3 years later, and then they are sent to the villages. For Oscar Sudi, or particularly in Kenya's general landscape, when you are this close to the president, is it always an assurity that once he's off status, for you, a lease of life in political landscape is normally so much limited thereafter?
Yeah, that's a general observation, and the idea is there are many people become orphans. When you are operating under the shadow of a powerful figure, in literature, we say fire begets ash. So when the man is no longer there, the people around him become orphans, and most of them are useless.
Very few like Margaret Kamara have actually...
Yeah. Secondly, you attract envy. People even hate you when you are powerful around the president. So when the president is not there, those enemies descend on you. Real and imagined enemy, they descend on you. Everybody descends on you because... Like I've said, people think you have more power than you really have. But even you as a person in power, the illusion of power, it gets into you. You begin to imagine you are a god. So if Manyora calls you, you can't even pick the call. Because the illusion of power, as Gigi Karaoke told us in his book, power creates some illusion. The moment you get some little power, it goes to your head. You think you are a god. And that's how impunity comes in. And that's how you begin to ignore even very close friends. And that's why it becomes very difficult at the end of the journey when the president has exited and you are on your own and you had walked like a god. Going back to the people becomes very difficult. Yeah.
For Sudi now, in that particular breath that you're talking about...
But a few have survived.
What would be your advice to him?
You just moderate things. You are not a god, first of all. You know impunity is always beckoning. You deal with the illusion of power. Especially, I advise people in power. It's a no-brainer. Power is transient. Ruto is president today. Tomorrow he will not be. Ruto was president the other day. Now he's just Raya.
Uhuru.
Yeah, Uhuru. It's just a Raya. Power is transient. If you deal with that, if you know that power is transient, If you know that no situation in the world, in life is permanent, there is no situation that is permanent. You cannot be president forever. You cannot be the president's aide forever. You cannot be the powerful man around president forever. No, you cannot go to the next president. When the next president comes, you go home with the other president.
I see.
And you are now an orphan. So that knowledge that you are a human being like those others, it humbles you a bit. So humility is what I would advocate for people around the president. Whether it be Sudi or Farouk or whoever it is. Humility. You must know this power is there now, but tomorrow it will not be there. It's transient. Okay? And the temptation to think you are a god is always around there. And impunity is always beckoning. Kuja. You know, I gave an example of a king. A king who employed somebody, always to be next to him, behind here, whispering to him, you are not a god. You are not a god. Because the temptation to think you are a god when you have power is always there. And to look at other people as if they are rubbish. So that when you, not even the president or people like Sudi or who, even small fellows like cabinet secretaries, you know, I work at the university. My colleagues become things. They forget us. They cannot even pay us a visit even one day. Hata kukuja kunywa chai senior common room or a Chiromo club. You can't see them.
They're big boys.
Then one day the job is over. Then they try to come smiling. Nobody smiles at them. They come and sit where you are sitting. I'm telling you, I've seen things at the university. Mtu anakuja anakaa kwa meza pale senior common room. People stand out. Stand up and go. Leave him alone. I've seen one, we were seated around, he came and sat with us, we were taking our lunch. Then he quickly said, I'm going, I have an appointment, he left. Then the waiter tells us, this guy has paid your meals. People told him, no, bring our bills.
Don't you think it's because you people are too entitled?
Not that, we are just saying, when you become a small man like a CS is a very small thing. Unakini unaona mtu anajibeba like being a PS, he has become a god. A PS in a small, poor, dirty third world country, even being president of a country like Kenya, it's not even a big thing. When Obama was here, what did you see? You saw a man, a big policeman in charge of the airport. What was his name? He's trying to walk past the queue and Ambia go back. You saw a minister trying to enter Kasarani Stadium when Obama was there. Akambia, where's your card? I couldn't go back. To show you are useless. You can't move next to the beast. How can you go there? Even you are useless. So to be a PS in a poor third world country like Kenya is a small thing. Yet our colleagues become permanent secretaries or principal secretaries. They become ministers.
Status comptroller.
And you just say, let me go and say hi to him. You don't want anything because he was your friend. You say,
don't pick your calls.
They are treating you. You don't go back.
I see.
So that is my advice to people like Sudi. Enjoy power while it lasts. Enjoy it. By the way, don't limit your enjoyment of power. Power is there to be enjoyed. Enjoy it. But don't let it get to your head.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it from this side. That is Herman Manyora literally giving nuggets of wisdom to Oscar Sudi, Kapseret, Member of Parliament, on how better he can gravitate towards political success now that he is so close to power, literally being the right-hand man that he is with President William Ruto. Until next time on Siasa Brigade, my name is Richard Mwencher. Always an honor to have you on board.